Oh, hello there. Sorry about that. I was completely absorbed listening to the amazing vocal talents of Halifax-based vocalist Karen Myatt. She is so talented. Anyhow, I'm Brian C. from NS Live TV, and welcome to episode 23 of the Nova Scotiable Show. The release of Femwire, which is Karen's latest album, is a pure work of art, complete with album artwork, a visually stunning music video, a website, and even some swag. It's the complete package. Now, Karen was happy to come on the show and have a conversation about Femwire, her past and future plans. So please, welcome to the show, Karen Myatt. Hi, Karen. Well, listen, thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. I greatly appreciate it. And I guess we'll get right into talking a little bit. And I'd like to know about your background, and so would the viewers. So when and where did you start playing music?
Yeah, sure. Well, hi, Brian, and thanks for having me. It's really nice to be chatting from the comfort of our home on a stormy day here. Um, when and where? As long as I can remember, I've been singing from a very, very, very wee age. I might have been singing before I was speaking, probably, but anybody who knows me knows that I credit my grandmother as my number one influence, musical influence. She actually just passed away in December, and she was 5 days short of her 103rd birthday. So we,
Yeah.
yeah, she was in great health right up to the very end. So, we were very fortunate to have her for as long as we did. But
Yeah.
I grew up spending a lot of time with her. And I'll tell you a quick story. On her 13th birthday, she received a piano. She grew up on Creighton Street here in Halifax, and she received a piano for her birthday, and she taught herself how to play that piano. We still have it. And so she played entirely by ear her whole life. So I sat next to her on the piano bench growing up, and my first love was the American Songbook, Berlin and Cole Porter and all of that golden era music. So that's why I have such a great love for jazz. So really, I started playing music when I was a little kid with my grandmother. Yeah.
Awesome. So she was a lot of your motivation, and yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, we won't get into how long ago that was, but I'd like to know, like, have your reasons and motivation changed for playing? Is it still the same today as it was back then with your grandmother?
I mean, I always say that I was still always playing for her. I mean, I don't know if I've ever done a show where I didn't dedicate a song to her or pulled a song out from way back, those old standards, because I still love them so much. And there's a reason why people still perform them. They are timeless, and they're still around for a reason. So yes, I mean, I still make music. I knew my whole life that I would be a musician. I would be a singer. I remember being in class, like in elementary school, and they'd go around the classroom asking, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And my answer was always a singer. So I suppose my motivations are kind of the same thing. It's everything's a passion project, and that creative outlet is something I can't live without. So yeah, it's in my DNA, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you evolved over time as an artist? Do you feel like that there's been an evolution in what you play and how you perform?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had quite a wide variety of musical experience. So I actually studied originally classically, and then I ended up in theater school. So my main focus was musical theater music. So I ended up in Toronto studying at Randolph Academy, and then eventually New York, where I went to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. So I had a very thorough kind of training in musical theater. And then when I came back to Canada, Neptune Theater in Halifax, I have been in maybe a dozen shows there of their main stage big musicals. So that was the bulk of my professional experience. And then over the last few years, I kind of branched out, and I discovered, everything from old folk music to doom metal, which I'm really into now. So that's all influenced me. Probably my major influences are like Sting, that kind of fusion kind of sound. I'm a huge Cassandra Wilson fan. She's a jazz artist. Like Peter Gabriel and of course Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, like all of that old rock and roll really started speaking to me too. So I have a really wide spectrum of influence on my music. And I think maybe if you do listen to what we've been making here, that you can hear that a little bit, that it is kind of, you can't categorize it. There's a little bit of jazz, there's a little bit of blues, there's a little bit of rock, there's a little bit of soul. It's all in there. So I think that answers, what was the question? I think that answers the question that, it's definitely evolved in a big way.
Yeah, most artists, that's the way they kind of evolve. I know I certainly have, from what I started playing when I was in junior high to what I play now. So
yeah, the cat. Did you see the cat?
yeah, I saw the cat.
A cameo, I guess, for the cat. So
those are awesome. So the latest album is Femoir. I'm saying that right, am I? Femoir.
Memoir, that's it. Yeah.
Nice. So basically, what was your inspiration to come up with Femoir?
Yeah. So, first of all, the word, I thought I had made it up. It kind of sort of exists. I don't think it's in the dictionary, but really where it came from was taking the word feminine and memoir and putting it together to come up with Femoir, because the first original music that I was writing for this really had a theme of storytelling and novels and books and words and also a feminine quality. So the whole album sort of is feminine stories, women's stories, but also the feminine spirit was kind of infused in all of the music that we were making. So that's where the word came from. And also the title song is called Femoir as well. And if you listen to the song, you'll hear all of those big themes there, but there's a real element too of mystery, which I see the feminine spirit sort of being, and it's not just about women, but it's about that feminine side of everyone and everything. I know it sounds a little ethereal, but that is where it's coming from. And it comes from, my travels, and then also reading different philosophies and psychologies and all of that, and sort of bringing it into this sort of like universal concept, which appeared on the album. And here comes the cat. So I don't know what's going to happen here, but there he is.
Hi.
Okay. I'm going to move him. He's going to meow. Giant 17-pound cat. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's got the feminine spirit too. So.
What's his name?
Hobie, like a Hobie cat boat. Hobie, Hobie. Yeah,
nice.
He's there. You can see him back there.
Yeah, Murphy's and Lucy are around here somewhere.
You've got two?
They're not fighting right at the moment, so that's good.
Oh. We'll hear if they are, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think could almost consider both of them rescue cats, but anyhow, kind of off topic there.
That's okay. We love cats.
We do, yeah. We're cat people.
Yeah.
I love dogs too, so.
So do I. Yeah. All animals.
So how do you find the process for putting an album like that together? I'm sure creatively there was a process involved, and the physical process of recording and all that. So how did you find that?
Yeah, I mean,
that's a big question. I know.
I know. You make music. You're a musician. I saw one of your videos actually, which is really nice. But
just a hobby for me, really. I'm not at your level by any means.
That's great, though. I mean, the process for this particular album was a lot lengthier than expected, because we started the project pre-pandemic. So our major chunk in the recording studio happened just before all of this lockdown began. So we were already had the ball rolling and with quite a bit of momentum. So it was a lot of readjusting, a lot of delays. So that was an element that I didn't expect to to deal with, but we made the most of it. So I think the process in the end actually turned out to be a lot more fulfilling than maybe it would have been without the extra time we found ourselves having, because we did delay the release. So my timeline expanded by about a year and a half. And we took that time to expand the recording. So I had time to really sit in my little room here with my little R16 and come up with, backup vocals and adding some synthesizer sounds that maybe would not have been on the album in the end. And I think it really enhanced the overall experience of both recording it and then the end result. So being in an isolation booth was kind of one of the only places you could be. So I spent a lot of time down at the Sonic Temple in Halifax and just adding in new ideas and trying things out. And it totally changed some of the songs entirely. So it was really cool that we were able to make the most of that extra time that we had. So it was a lengthy process. But mostly it wasn't too painful because I had such a perfect personnel on this. Like the band members were kind of my dream team to work with on this kind of music. So it all just worked out. I don't have too many complaints. So yeah, it was a great experience. It really was.
Yeah. Sounds like you were able, with the extra time, able to put a little polish on it.
Yeah. And also kind of hone my own skills because, as I told you, I was trained in the theater. So I was used to interpreting other people's music, and most of the album are cover songs and contemporary and classic standards. But there is my first original music on there as well. So this was kind of the perfect transition period for me to really cut my teeth at writing music. And that includes building backup vocals and adding in like a string synth sound. And it was a really great learning experience for that. So I can't be anything but grateful really for having the time and space, because that's what you need to be creative, right? So
yes, for sure. Yeah. So what were some of the biggest challenges?
Yeah. Well, besides the obvious was, we really wanted to do a live launch show, which eventually we did get around to. But that was probably the biggest challenge, because most of the post-production could be done, our man in Montreal actually did the final mixing and mastering, and that could be done, remotely. So there was no problem with that. But it was getting all of the band together in a venue with enough audience members to make it a feasible kind of live performance launch, which was really a big element of the whole album. So I wasn't interested in releasing it online only. So there were a lot of delays and a lot of rescheduling and a lot of just kind of headaches, just kind of get everything lined up for that. But it did eventually come together. So that really was the only challenge. Mostly it was pretty smooth sailing, creatively anyway. Musically.
Great. Oh, nice. Yeah. So you must feel a great sense of accomplishment. Do you feel you did accomplish what you set out to accomplish with the album?
Yeah, it actually turned out better than I had hoped. So
good. Yeah.
Maybe again, because of that extra time, like it really became something that I hadn't even fully envisioned, and I had a pretty clear vision for it. But something came together. Sometimes the timing is right, and there's just this magical kind of glue that comes together. And I still listen to the album, and I don't want to throw it out the window yet. So that's something. But I can hear new little like new sounds and new moments kind of pop out at me that I didn't even notice were there before. So there's a bit of magic involved with this one, at least for me. That's how I'm seeing it. So usually when I work on a project for this long, I don't want to say the word femoir ever again. But no, this one's been hanging on. So yeah, it turned out to be better than I expected. So
great.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is absolutely fabulous. So, I mean, you have some of your original music mixed in with some, should we call them classics? Is that a good word for them?
Yeah, well, some of them are quite, I mean, there's a Patti Smith song on there. Like
Hmm.
there's a Sade song, there's a Sting song. Like
Oh,
they
awesome.
they are kind of contemporary standards, I would call them, because those people have written music that will last forever, right? They are timeless songs. I mean, I think Sting or Patti Smith, like they write standards
Yeah.
like that can be reinterpreted and reimagined over and over again. So there's a few of those on there, but there are some classics too. Like there's a couple of traditional jazz tunes, and then not so traditional. So it really is a good variety of styles.
So, following along with that, what was your favorite track?
Oh, my favorite track. It's kind of a long album, so it's over an hour long. So there are 14 tracks on it.
You
A
can say
couple of them
all
are
of them. That's fine.
yeah. It changes actually. It changes every time I've heard it. It kind of changes because, like I was saying, there's sort of like new moments that jump out or that really tie in to another moment on the album. And it's just as a whole, I think it's a really cool experience, which was kind of the goal because we live in a world of singles, right? The album doesn't get as much respect or attention as it once did. So I really did want to make it an overall experience, listening experience. But for me, the one song that I think is really different is one of the originals, and it's called "O Bravada." And I think the sounds that came together to make that song, it was kind of serendipitous. Like it all just I mean, there's a section where there's solo instruments playing, they solo totally separately. And for some reason, we play them together, the tracks together, and they lined up beautifully. I don't know how it happened, but it did. So, like things like that are really exciting in the studio. So that song kind of just blossomed right then and there before my eyes, and it's all about a female boxer, and it's got some pretty cool like sampling in it and stuff. And I can't think of another song that sounds like it that I've heard. So I think that one is special to me because it is truly original in my eyes anyway. So that's the one, I guess. Yeah.
Have you gotten the response from the release of the album that you were hoping for, or has COVID really crushed everything? I know it's more online now. People are all online, listening and doing things. So,
Yeah.
but has the response been what you were hoping for?
Yeah, I mean, we released a couple of music videos. One was a pretty big one. It got a lot of traffic, which is really good. And I was able to work with the local artist who does stop motion animation, and that made it really special. Brianna Corscott is her name, and her work is incredible on that. So if you have a chance to watch the Femoir music video, it's worth it for Brianna's work. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty excited to get some feedback from some professionals in the industry that I really respect. Like Cassandra Wilson herself sent a review, and I do one of her songs on the album, and it was glowing, and that was pretty exciting for me. And like I had a great chat with Bill Roach on the CBC East Coast Music Hour, and yeah, it's been great. The feedback has been really good despite all of the challenges. We haven't been able to tour to promote it, although we will have a mini tour coming up around the province in the spring. So it has made promoting the music tough. However, there are so many platforms to share music now that the reach is probably greater than it ever was in some ways. So yeah, I think I'm pleased. We're going to continue to plug it as much as we can, and yeah, I wouldn't complain too much about the response. It's been pretty good. Yeah.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I watched a little bit of the video of the stop animation. It's amazing. People, you really got to check that out. It's really cool what they've done with that. So,
Yeah.
kind of move off the topic a little bit. What are your thoughts on the current state of live music under COVID-19? I mean, we all know that it's kind of put an end to live events, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last few years have shown us how important live music is because it just can't compare to the online live stream. I mean, for both the artist and the audience member, it's just it's just too different.
Yeah.
The energy that is communicated and shared in live performance cannot be recreated. It just can't.
You're
And
so right.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think there's the one good thing that would have come from this is the greater appreciation for those moments that we share with artists and audiences in live music performances. And so maybe people will be more willing when it does return to pay the ticket price, to get out, to leave Netflix for the night and go and have an experience, that we really kind of will value that when we're able to do it again and often. And now too, I mean, when we did the launch, we did it at the Rebecca Cohen, which was gorgeous and beautiful and such an amazing space and stage. And, it takes a lot for people to go out and you have to really appreciate, people leaving their homes now. They're anxious maybe about being around other people. There's a bunch of hurdles you have to jump through. You have to line up and you have to show proof of vaccination and there's more to it now. It's a bigger commitment to going to hear live music. So that's changed everything, So I think I have seen a lot of support both through audiences and artists trying to make it work for each other because, we value that art form so much. So I do think, we have a greater appreciation for it now. So when it does come back, because it will, and slowly and surely, it should be better than ever, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope so. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you say you wanted proof? My proof? I got. Oh, never mind. Okay. I'm so used to being asked for it.
I know.
Second nature. Here you go.
You can embed chips in people's wrists now, so you just like scan your wrist, and you'll have a little chip. I know. Right.
Cool.
Crazy. But
I don't know if
that's
I
where
want
we're
a chip
headed.
in my wrist, but anyhow, we'll think about that.
Yeah, here's my album too. You listen to my album.
That'd be neat, though. Here, my latest album. Scan my wrist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's on the agenda for you for the rest of the year?
Yeah, well, we are making plans despite, sort of not being sure what's going to be possible. But I think I really do feel like, we're there is light at the end of the tunnel. So we do have some, I don't know if I can announce it yet, but I do have some gigs booked throughout the end of May, early June across the province. So like we'll be in Chester, probably going to be at Neptune, we'll be in Parsborough, New Glasgow, Wolfville. So we're just going to try and hit some of our little favorite towns around the province and share the music with audiences and in venues that are big enough, we will do kind of a multimedia performance. So we have like projections and audio elements and like dancing maybe and things like that. So it really is sort of an experience rather than just a string of songs, So
there's your theater background showing.
I can't help it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I've done some community theater, nothing major, but yeah, I'm with you to bring more elements into a show. I think that's awesome. Great job.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen like U2 live or Roger Waters or like, those huge like millions of dollars to produce these shows, but like they stick with you, like when you remember those moments because they had an image to go with the song or they made a statement, maybe if it's a political statement or something like that, like it really does, it can change somebody, So I think it's really important to bring those elements onto the stage if you can. Yeah.
Oh, no, it makes for such an amazing performance. Like you said, it sticks in your mind.
Yeah. It's a series of moments. So yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Karen, thank you so much for coming on the show. We greatly appreciate your time, and we're going to do everything we can on this end to promote you. We'll share the links. What's the main link that people should check out where they can find your music and more about you?
My website is the best place. Everything's on there. So it is femoir.ca. So FEMOIR.ca.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll keep people updated on what you're doing and stay in touch.
That's awesome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Wow. Karen's an absolute delight. She is such a pleasure to talk to, and I hope you enjoyed hearing a little piece of her story and strongly suggest you check out femoir.ca. It's great, but hey, don't take my word for it. NS Live TV is your community channel, so please send me your suggestions for show guests and be a community correspondent who reports on events and happenings in your community. Just use the email on the screen. It'll be there somewhere. I'd be happy to hear from you. And that's it for this episode of the Nova Scotiable Show. Stay safe, be kind to each other, and we'll see you next time.